Hi everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. This is Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop. So very happy you could join me on this very lovely 1st of November Saturday. So thank you, well it's not the 1st of November, but it's the first Saturday of November, sorry. Guess I should reword that. Okay, so what we are working on today is block number 8 of our Christmas quilt. We have the blocks that we have worked on in the past, put right back here. This one was a custom one. We also have another custom one today. It's a bit of a pine cone kind of with a ribbon. I had my phone here earlier with a hand scribbled kind of drawing on a piece of paper that was text to me. So I think I did pretty good. So it's going to be something very similar to this. So hopefully I did the creator proud in my little creation. Okay, so minus the extra red thread, we can clip that up. So what I have right here is a really easy fold. I've got 3.5-inch squares of my brown that I'm going to make for the majority of the pine cone, and green for a little bit of accent color at the top, just to kind of break up between the brown and the red because we're doing the bow. Okay, so the idea was it was suggested that it was very similar to the one of the blocks I did for my niece Victoria's quilt that we did as an 8-block project. It was the purple and white and black, and it was just a matter of a fold and a fold. Okay, see I'm folding it in half. Okay, and then I had folded it half again, and then I had tucked this little section in with some, I think it was a pinwheel block or something like that, just to give it some little funny feel. It was a tiny little white triangle. So, but when I did that last night to kind of do this block, I'm like, it doesn't really suit me. So I thought, well, let's turn this corner up to that corner and this corner up to that corner. And then it gave me a really neat, almost kind of pine cone kind of little look. So we're going to use both sides to make sure this little pops the way we want. Okay, so we have our block here. I just use plain white, cream, whatever you like, little pattern in the back. You don't have to. I've used 11 of the browns and 4 of the green. And what I'm going to do is just trying to give myself some sort of a center mark to work on, because I don't want, you know, this pine cone to be all over the place. I kind of want it to have some sort of a proper destination, right? So let's try and get her in the center. So use your little disappearing ink, okay? Just mark a little X and Y axis to give you a little chance to, like I say, center it up a bit. Don't want higgledy-piggledy all over the place. We are going to trim the block. Okay, so now that I have that there, I'm going to start off down on the straight line, down from the center. It is disappearing ink and it will disappear, but you know, as you get your placement, your first couple down, you understand what you need to do. Okay, so, oops, let's pin that a bit better. Okay, so thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning. I hope you're enjoying our little weekend projects and either sewing along with our Christmas quilt or at least enjoying us sewing along. And thank you again to the creator of this block. It was really kind of fun to think about it last night and try and put it all together. Okay, so now that one's down. We're going to take the next piece, okay, which we're going to have it with the fold, the 2 little fold here that we have right here, the gappy bit. We're going to have that to the back side, okay? And we're going to line it up right next to the other one, covering those stitches. And then we're just going to stitch down, okay? Do the one side, then flip, and do the other. And I always try to do a little back stitch. I don't know, to me, I feel like the things that I work on are worthy of hopefully not falling apart. So a back stitch really helps with that, okay? And don't forget to trim all your threads, but you could do that all later, okay? So I did make up a few so we could get putter in here. Very excited to get this quilt all quilted up, that's for sure. And hanging in the quilt shop here. We actually have 2 pieces of great news. 1, we got awesome shirts. And 2, we have fabric now in the quilt shop. Bought some rolls, bought some bolts. So excited, so excited. Lovely colors. Got 13 so far. More to come, wide backs, creams, grays, all sorts of fun stuff. So stay tuned or look at the webpage. we'll have something I'm sure you're looking for. And of course, we always have the batting here. Okay, so now that row, right? That row right there was with the fold side down. So the next row up is we're going to be with the fold side out. Okay. Just to give it that depth, right? You know? And I always try to go with the one in the center first, trying to keep it up with my line, my little line that I've already marked here. It's very faded, but it is there. Okay. Trying to line up the best you can. I mean, pine cones aren't absolutely symmetrical. So, you know, you can a little bit on the wild side. You can curve it a little bit. You can make it like a big diamond. Okay, and now I want to do the two on other side of it exactly the same way. Keep it with the fold out, okay? And line it up along that edge. And that kind of gives you a little bit of a layering effect. That happens when the pine cone is being formed, right? One pops out and then layers over the next one. So, and I was watching Netflix the other day, and it was Wild Europe, and there was a special bird. I wish I could remember his name right now. Anyways, his beak was not set up, so it was like together. It was askew, so he could pop open the little levers of the pine cones and get the seeds. So I thought, oh my gosh, a nifty little bird. They adapt, right? But very, very cute. All right, so we place it right over the stitches. Did I get that on the right side? Nope. Dorky dork. It's like, wait a second, that doesn't look right. And you can do this even if just triangle, or sorry, square applique if you wanted. If you didn't want to have the three-dimensional fabric here, like how this is going to end up being in the end sort of thing, then you can just put your little squares down. That doesn't make any difference. Whatever makes you happy. Okay, so I've got my 1, 2, 3 rows. I need another row. And of course that fold's going to be down to the bottom because the other one was up at the top. Okay, we'll work from one side to the next. We've been working on some beautiful quilts in the quilt shop lately. If you get a chance, you should check out Long Arm Wednesday. If you don't know of it, it's another video that we shoot every week here in the quilt shop. It's either a customer quilt or my quilt, you know, a custom design, or, you know, a donation, or a quilt of valor, or a charity quilt, or anything, something like that. There's always something going on here. Always something going on in the quilt shop. Okay, so that's that and that, and then of course one on either side. Okay, so remember, it's just an easy fold. Easy fold. And it really adds some dimension to your quilt. Like, it'll just pop right off. Even if you just leave it as a wall hanging, right? It'll just pop right off the wall. And people are like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. All right, one more on the other side, and then one more in the center of the brown, and then it's working on the greens, okay? So the my prize-winning quilt that for the Erin Fall Fair that won this in October is now hanging up, I believe, I should be, township people, at the Erin Township building for people to see if they so wished. So I think that would be pretty cool. They were happy to take it for a while, they said. I'm like, how long is a while? What do you mean by that? Okay, so one more in the center to kind of give that depthy bit look, and that's going to be with the fold out, not down. Okay, and that's going to go right in that center here. We're almost there. And then we're going to create our own bow by just manipulating some fabric. Okay, so here now we're going to start working on the green ones. Okay, And of course we want to be consistent. The brown one right next to it has it with the fold out, so we'll make sure that our green one is with the fold out. Okay. I like putting new stuff together, you know. Never done like this before, and it was like, I can do that. I can figure that out. I'm a smart little chicken. There we go. Okay, and a couple more at the top. And as they say, Bob's your uncle. Okay, and that's with the fold down. Want to be consistent throughout our whole project. If you want to be wacky and throw a weird one in there, that's totally up to you. Okay. And then these raw edges on the side here, all along here, are going to get tacked down by the ribbon that we're making. Okay. And you can choose any color ribbon you like. I just had some, literally a wee bit of red fabric left over from a project. Oop, turn that around there, dorky dork. Put it right. I have to go get red now. Well, I don't have to get red. I have red, but not broadcloth. This is good Northcott quilting fabric that we have in the store. So if you're interested, let me know. I have colors and pretty patterns. All right, so here we have our, oops, side reveal, our pine cone, and now we're just gonna make our bow, okay? So our bow just like this. This was a 2.5, no, this was a, yeah, I think this was a 2.5 square, and this was a 3.5 square. So just made it a little bit bigger, okay? And now to make our bow, because our bow isn't going to be as big as that one, because this literally was the last of the wee bit of the red I had. So we'll have to do our best to turn it inside out, or right side out. Probably should change to my red thread before this part, but that's okay. We'll change it to when we stitch it down. All right, oops, sorry. Should leave that out there so you can take a look at it. There we go. While I'm busy flying away with my red fabric. So hopefully everybody got their Christmas ideas and are ready to get started. Hopefully you make something. I've got a couple of scarves on the go, knitting one and crocheting the other. I do a bit of everything. I like to keep myself busy. Other than that, get myself in trouble. You know what I mean. Just a busy, busy person. Okay, so now here comes the hard part, is turning this inside out. Okay, here's always the tedious part. It's like, bang. Gonna build me something. Okay, so just be gentle and just do the little wiggy, wiggy, wiggy and the shake, shake, shake. And get it turned right side out. Don't let it get jammed up. Okay. I know it's like, oh, this is so boring part, but still gotta be done. Okay. Hopefully. Oops. Oh, I was gonna say I lost my chopstick. Oh no. And of course, it never ends up back in the drawer, so there's always one lonely chopstick in the cutlery drawer. Where's the other one? In the quilt shop. There we go. Okay, so that's turned inside out. And literally, we're gonna make a bow like we would with any other ribbon. And my years in the flower shop, my mom managed one majority of my young adult life, so I know how to make a bow. So take a little scoop of your fabric there, a little scoop of your fabric here on this side, and then you're gonna flip those and tie it like that, okay? Now you take the bow to the back, or one of the ribbon bow ends, sorry, not the bows, this is the part right here, and you just kind of open it up, and we're gonna place it on our block, okay? Now here comes the fun part. Try and make sure you're covering those edges, okay, those raw little seams, okay, because we're going to stitch this down, okay. And we'll come up over here. Okay. And you can fold and tweak and whatever you need to, because it's a bow, right? It's ribbon, so give it some life, give it some folds, give it some tucks. You know, you can even, you know, tuck this end in or make it come right off the block. I think that's what I liked about it, was coming right off the block if we could make it. So, you know, that way it gets tucked in between that and the next block. Okay, so that's that. And then we'll put this up over here, covering that side. Okay. And like I said, do a little fold. Try and make it like it was really a wrapped ribbon pine cone. All right, okay? And then we'll tack the top up when we get there, okay? I'm just gonna do the side parts here first, okay? So change to my red thread, okay? I have some very shiny little red thread left over. I had 2 or 3 on a bobbin, so I figured I'd just load up my bobbin there. Why not? Recycle. No need to change for the big one, right? See, I was going to come back to now. I need glasses. So at a Quilt of Valor, we had a quilt show, and I was at the Quilt of Valor booth, and we were chatting it up, and of course we were putting labels on the Quilts of Valor for our military and our army and everything else like that, because Remembrance Day is coming, right? And we needed to tack them down and so on and so forth. I was having a hard time threading my needle. My co-pilot says to me, I think you need glasses. She goes, actually asked me where my glasses were, and I go, I don't need glasses. She's like, I think you do, honey. I'm like, no, I don't. Don't say that. Not that there's anything wrong with glasses. Oops. All right, just touched the edge of my pin head there, so let's try this again. There we go. And then just do your little stitches all the way around, following the folds and the creaks and the whatever in the fabric. And you're going to do down on both sides, okay? Okay. Come around to the top. Do a little back stitch. There we go. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Okay, we can come up, fold that a little bit there. Okay, put our foot up so I can get that little needle head out. Okay, oops, don't want to lose it. They hurt when they hit your foot. Okay. Just come close right under the bottom of that bow. Okay. Okay, now move to the other side. Start real close. Yep. Sorry. 1, 2, 2, 2. There's been a flu bug running around and it's not at all fun, let me tell you. Unfortunately, I missed out on a couple of the fun events over Halloween weekend. Alright, okay, tack that there. Unfortunately, that's always what happens as soon as you get back to school and the routine of school and kids and everything else like that. So it's the way it is. Alright, couple more little tacks and we are done. Our cute little pine cone block. Okay, custom made pine cone block. Okay, so when it comes to the bow, we want to make sure we're just going to stitch down this side and this side. So kind of have it placed where you want it. Okay, slip your foot down under around. Do your little back stitch to make sure it's going to stay. And try to come as far as you can. And then back stitch. Okay. And other little side, and then we are done. I know I thank you very, very much for joining me for the weekend project. If you don't know about Long Arm Wednesday, check it out. It's a lot of fun. I think I had a question that I was posing to everybody on the last one I just shot, which was a quilt of valor for one of our veterans. I had another one that I needed to do up this Wednesday. If anybody had any pattern stitch ideas or block ideas to block it out or something like that, I'm listening. All right. This is such a cute little block. I'm very, very happy that it came along, that's for sure. So thank you very much to Miss Krista, my beautiful and lovely sister-in-law. And I appreciate her taking the time to design a block for our little project. And there we go. Isn't that cute? And then this is just going to get stitched in around. I'm going to trim that off, of course. But, you know, it's going to disappear into the next block as it's going along. So that'll just get pinned right up here with the rest of our lovelies. Well, first, we're going to take a picture of it, okay? So thank you very much for joining me for Weekend Project. This is Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop. And signing off, and take care and be well. All right? Thank you. Bye-bye.